so we'll get started. I'm going to do a little brief introduction, John,
Sure.
first, before I start asking you some questions.
All right.
John Ward was born in Dublin, Ireland, in 1948. He started his painting, or his drawing and painting career, I gather, at a film studio working as a scenery artist. And then he arrived in Ontario, Canada in the early 70s, and he now lives and works in the village of Gormley, where he produces, as I have seen, wonderful, absolutely wonderful paintings. Where, incidentally, from my own knowledge, I know that Frederick Horseman Varley spent the last days of his life there in that little town.
Oh, yeah, formally?
In Gormley, yeah. The very air, I think, there must be charged with great art. Somewhere, John says, you have to trust your instinct, trust that it's taking you somewhere that you need to go. I guess something about my own instincts has led me to this interview, a place where I certainly want to be, especially after seeing some of his work online. I see John's early work of finely crafted paintings displaying a kind of excruciating Zen moment beauty he finds in banal fragments of everyday life. Seeing this early work, I feel a kind of peace descending, the edge of bliss. And I carry that with me as I walk away, everything coming to me, all my surroundings, as if still in an art gallery. It seems like magic to me. After his transition to a different theme in the last few years, which seems to be, we'll hear more in a minute, the closest examination possible of the structure of life in leaves, for example. I find now he paints with an almost unbearable to witness intensity that lends me the eyes of a butterfly, makes me imagine what the butterfly not only is, but what that beautiful little creature sees when it settles on a leaf. It's close up, the eyes of a butterfly. His early work, now his later, seem to me as though two faces of bliss, one calm, one exuberant. And so, John, can you tell me what led you to becoming an artist? How did you get started to be an artist?
Well, I started out like most kids. I grew and painted. I grew up, just to give you some background, in a very formal environment in terms of education, and with the little school cap and the blazer, and most of the kids were being streamed into the professions. I mean, it was obvious to me and most people around me that from a very early age, I mean, as early as 8 or 10, I could actually draw very well and, depict things in a realistic manner, even at that stage. And so I kept painting and drawing and kind of drifted into it full time. There I was at 17 in the school environment I spoke of, and I clearly wanted to be an artist, and there was nothing to do with that in the environment. So I bailed when I got the job offer. So here I am at 17. So somebody acknowledges what I can do and wants to pay me
Isn't that wonderful?
for it. I mean, what not to like?
Sure.
So I went for it.
Sure, of course, that's great. And then, so going on from there, how much sort of formal training did you bother with or get into? There's no evidence that you needed it but now, today, but I'm wondering.
Well, I never did. And like I said, by the time I was 17, I was so frustrated and fed up with the structure of school that there was no way I was going to go to art college. I just simply didn't want to. I mean, plus the fact at the time, this would have been in the second half of the 60s, that most people who were going to art college, certainly at that time, I still lived in Dublin, Ireland. I mean, I came to Canada in 1969. At the time, people were mimicking the styles of the day, which at that time would have been Jackson Pollock.
Sure.
Not that there's anything wrong with Jackson Pollock. He was searching for infinity and found it.
Yes.
But I think every artist and the labor of an artist is to find their own voice.
That's wonderful. It's so true. I just parenthetically, just about that time I lived in Toronto in the 60s, and I remember discussing at my home one time with the guy who was director of the art school of Ontario at the time. And I asked him, I don't remember his name now, but I asked him, what do you do? Like, what happens to a real artist in your school? Like, someone who's a real artist. And he looked at me and he said, if I find a real artist, I tell him to get out of here and go painting.
You know what? I have heard at least two graduates from the art college, when it was called the Ontario College of Art,
Yes.
tell me later on that it took them years to unlearn some of the structures that was forced on them at the art college.
Yeah, really. That's what he was referring to. I really like to hear him say that.
Yeah. No, and I think that's absolutely true. I mean,
Yes.
I would be the first to add that only basically a crazy person goes to be an artist. But if you stick with it, and if you push through it, and if you're capable of hard work and discipline, it may turn into something, but there's no guarantee.
No, but at least you'll be sane.
Well, that's true. Or at least you'll be able to say you took a shot at what you wanted to do.
Absolutely. That's just wonderful.